Hello. Alright, so this is just more practice on factoring. So I'm just going to show you 8 different problems on factoring. So again, factor the following expressions. So what we see here, this is, we're trying to find two numbers that multiply to 9, and add up to 6. So let's go ahead and write our numbers. So we have 1 and 9, -1, -9, I see 3, 3, -3, -3, which two numbers multiply to 9 and add up to 6. So I see that right here. So this means our factors are going to be x plus 3 times x plus 3. And that is basically it. You could go ahead and check your work like how I showed you previous methods before if you wanted to. Okay? Next problem, x squared minus 11x minus 10. You're finding two numbers that multiply to 10 and add up to -11. Let's go ahead and do that. So 1, 10, -1, -10, 2, 5, -2, -5. Two numbers that multiply to 10 and add up to -11. I see that this could possibly work. So this is x minus 1 times x minus 10. And that is your factors. Go ahead and check that to see if that works. Okay. Next one, x squared minus 2x minus 15. So finding two numbers that multiply to -15 and add up to -2. Let's go ahead and make our list of numbers. So 1, -15, -1, 15, 3, -5, 3, 5. Which two numbers multiply -15 and add up to -2. What I see here is I believe this would work. So this means our factors are going to be x plus 3 times x minus 5. Boom. Yep, so those are our factors. Okay, next one I'm going to show you is, let's say you didn't understand anything that I went over. Let's do the x method instead. Okay, so if we do the x method, if you guys like the lovely x method, put a 1 in front here. So put a 1 in front there. So what we're going to do is 1 times 12 is going to be 12. And then the number that goes going to be on the bottom is this one, so 8. So finding two numbers that multiply to 12 and add up to 8. What I see, if you just go to the list of numbers, make that list, you're going to see that 2 and 6 are going to work because 2 times 6 is 12, 2 plus 6 is 8. I divide each of these numbers by your coefficient in front, which is 1. This means our factors are going to be 1x plus 2 and is going to be 1x plus 6, which is basically the same thing as x plus 2 times x plus 6. Go ahead and check that with that other method I showed you earlier and see if you can get the same thing. Okay, now let's say we use the x method again for this. If we're using the x method, two numbers that multiply to 36. 1 times 36 is 36. And they add up to -12. So what I see here is if I just go through the list of numbers, I believe -6 and -6 will work because -6 times -6 is positive 36. -6 plus -6 is going to be -12. Divide this by the number that you see in front, which is 1. So when we factor this, this is going to be 1x minus 6 times 1x minus 6. So in other words, this is x minus 6 times x minus 6. You could even simplify this. You could even also say that this is x minus 6 squared. Any of these will be an acceptable answer. But this is basically how you would factor that one. You can also prove it using the other method that I showed you earlier as well. Okay, this one, 1x plus 2x minus 35. So here we go with the lovely x. We're finding two numbers that multiply -35. 1 times -35 is -35. And they add up to the bottom number, which is 2. So if I go to my list of numbers, I believe 7 and -5 will work because 7 times -5 is going to be -35. 7 plus -5 is going to be 2. Divide each of those numbers by the number that you see in front there, which is 1. So when you factor this, this is going to be 1x plus 7 and 1x minus 5. So in other words, when we factor this, this is going to be x plus 7 times x minus 5. And that is basically how you would factor that one. Okay. Last example I want to show you, last couple examples I want to show you is this one. So if you guys were watching those other videos from before, the shortcut to this is the difference of squares formula, right? So the difference of squares formula says if you have x squared minus y squared, this is the same thing as x plus y times x minus y. In other words, what we see here is we have, we can take the square root of 4. Square root of 4 is 2. So in other words, this can be replaced as x squared minus 2 squared, which is the same thing as x plus 2 times x minus 2. That is basically a formula that you can apply. Now, another way that you can visualize this, so remember, quadratic formulas are of the form ax squared plus bx plus c. So in other words, this would be a 1x squared because a would be 1. B is 0 because you can't even see it there. Anything times 0 is 0. And then the c term is going to be a negative 4. So it's a little tricky to see, but you can also use the x method on this. If you use the x method on this, you're trying to find two numbers. Oh, I think the video was crapping out. But anyway, you're finding two numbers that multiply to negative 4 and then add up to 0, right? Find two numbers that multiply negative 4 and add up to 0. I believe negative 2 and positive 2 will work, right? Because negative 2 times positive 2 is going to be negative 4, and negative 2 plus 2 is going to be 0. Divide each of these by 1 because we have a 1 in front here, which means our factors are going to be 1x minus 2 and 1x plus 2, which is exactly what we have up there. Notice the order, it doesn't really matter for multiplication. You could switch it around, it means the same thing. So x plus 2 times x minus 2. Okay. Last example, x squared minus 81. Again, I can also show you. So this is the formula x squared minus y squared. So this breaks up to x plus y times x minus y. If you see that pattern here, what you see is you can take the square root of 81, which is 9. So when you break this down, this is basically x squared minus 9 squared. So when you break this down, this is x plus 9 times x minus 9, right? Times x minus 9. Now, another way that you could do this is you could use the x method, right? So again, if you look at this, the quadratic formula has the form ax squared plus bx plus c, where this would be 1x squared. Bx is going to be, this is a 0, b is 0, and then c is going to be a minus 81. Okay, so if you did the x method, you're finding two numbers that multiply to negative 81 and add up to 0. Go through your list of numbers, that should be negative 9 and positive 9, because negative 9 times 9 is negative 81. Negative 9 plus 9 is going to be 0. Divide each of these numbers by the number that you see in front here, which is 1. So when you write out your factors, this is going to be 1x minus 9 and 1x plus 9. And as you see, this here is the exact same thing as what we have there. So a lot of different ways that you could go about doing this. I would say that if you cannot memorize the difference of squares formula, just work it out using the x method or any other method that you want. But this actually makes your life a little bit easier. Okay. Let me know if you have any questions on this. This is the last video on factoring. Ooh, that was quite a bit. All right. Okay, bye.